me, Lauren again. Hi! So I'm on the same couch, but in a totally different apartment. So I hope you guys like it. I'm not really sure about the lighting in this room. I might play around and try different rooms. So if you don't like the lighting, let me know. But this is the best I can do, like, right now. This is a video that I promised you guys, like, before I moved. So this is how to find an apartment in Japan. And basically, I mean, I'm not an expert at this. Like, this was only, like, my first time, like, doing it by myself. And also, this video is more directed at people who are living in Japan but are looking to find an apartment on their own. If you are applying to work in Japan from overseas, any reputable company will at least assist you in the housing process, so you shouldn't really have to worry about where you're going to be living and stuff too much, like, before you move to Japan from overseas. But once you're here, you know, if you want to find your own apartment, maybe this video will be helpful. So I'm definitely not an expert, and I want to say before I do this that a really great resource for this is Surviving in Japan. It's a blog, and it's so informative. It's so informative. It's one of, like, the pages I check, like, not every day, but quite frequently. It's definitely on my bookmarks, and I'd highly recommend it to anyone who's living in Japan or looking to live here. There's just so much information, but there's, like, a huge post, I think a couple of posts about moving specifically, with, like, links to different apartment websites in Japanese, but they've, like, nicely translated a lot of the stuff for you. So if you need help with stuff like that, or your Japanese kanji reading isn't, like, totally, you know, isn't good enough to, like, look around for apartments on a Japanese website, definitely check out Surviving in Japan. Anyway, so, like, the first place as a foreigner that you can look to go get an apartment would be Leo Palace. You do have the ability to, like, find an apartment and stuff and everything through them in English if you do want to. They do have, like, English services if you have trouble, like, I don't know, like, if your hot water isn't working, you can call up Leo Palace and speak to an English-speaking representative there. So that's pretty helpful. And especially if you're coming from overseas or recently came from overseas or don't really feel like buying this stuff, Leo Palace apartments come with a refrigerator, a microwave, a washer, and usually an air conditioner. So you wouldn't have to worry about any of that stuff. And that stuff is kind of expensive. Like, I'm buying that stuff now, like, living in my own apartment. But granted, I mean, it's the Leo Palace, and they're not going to be, like, the greatest quality refrigerator, microwave, and washer, but you will have them and you won't have to worry about getting them. And also, they come with internet. They come with, like, LeoNet internet, so you wouldn't have to worry about getting that set up like I'm worrying about now. So you would definitely have, like, everything that you need to survive, other than, like, furniture and food and stuff, in the Leo Palace apartment once you move into the place. They have places all over Japan, like, even in the countryside, even in the big cities. They have them everywhere, like, all over Japan. I mean, I don't know about, like if they have them, like, in Okinawa, or they definitely have them in Hokkaido, but I'm not really totally sure about all of Japan, but definitely the vast majority of Japan does have Leo Palace apartments. And other than Leo Palace, like, if you are a foreigner, you can live in share houses. So share houses are basically like a dorm. So you would have your own room, so you, like, your own bedroom with, like, a bed. Usually, like, sometimes you can actually request furniture that they have, so you wouldn't have to buy it yourself, but you would have, like, a bed, and you would have a closet, and maybe even, like, a bookshelf that they would provide for you. And the rest of the apartment is you would be sharing with everyone else. So you would share the showers, the bathroom, the kitchen, the living room. Everything else would be shared. So again, that's an option if you don't feel like buying, like, all this stuff that you need that wouldn't come with, like, an ordinary apartment here. that's also an option for you. But it is like a dorm room, and you don't have a whole lot of space. So if you don't like really living in a dorm, or you want to have like your own apartment, your own bathroom, your own shower, maybe a share house isn't really that good for you. And a lot of people have like the misconception that like share houses are significantly cheaper than living in your own apartment, but that's not actually true. Like one of my friends, I mean, I guess this probably depends on the share house and where the share house is, but I mean, if you're willing to compensate a little bit on like location, you can definitely get an apartment for much cheaper that's like just for you, on your, like for just, you know, a personal 1K apartment definitely would be much cheaper than like living in a share house in the city. Like one of my friends lives in a share house and they pay around like $6 a month, so that's like $600-ish a month. And you know, my tiny little Leo Palace apartment that I first lived in Japan, that was like $530 a month. So yeah, or even like this apartment I'm living in now is, you know, a 2DK, and this is like $650 a month basically. So, you know, living in a share house with your own tiny little room and sharing everything with everyone, you know, might not be that great. But the plus side is that you'll be living with other people, so you'll have like a social group that you can hang out with, and you may be able to speak Japanese with those people. A lot of the people that live there are foreigners, like that are living there, but sometimes there are like Japanese people who are also living there. So if you want to improve your Japanese skills, that is an option for you, and that might be worth like the lack of space and questionable pricing, I guess. And also, depending on like what city you're living in, like if you're living in a big city or you plan on living in a big city, there may actually be like foreigner realtor services around. I know in Osaka and Tokyo there are a ton of them, but in Osaka there are some, and probably if you do like a Google search, you can definitely find things like in other cities, I'm sure. And so that would be, they would help you find an apartment, and everything would be in English. And a lot of times they can either get you a furnished apartment or semi-furnished, or even like help you like get a refrigerator and all this stuff if your apartment doesn't have that. So that is nice. I will say though, like just from looking at least for the like Osaka apartments, like I did look around on their websites, and a lot of those apartments are more expensive. And a lot of those apartments too, for the foreigner realtor services, are more designed for businessmen who are going to be in Japan for like, you know, 6 months or something. So like a long-term like hotel-ish type thing, I guess. So it may or may not be something that you would want to be living in for more than 6 months. And some of those realtor services have like very, very few apartments that you could live in for more than a year, actually. So, you know, that is somewhere you can go look, but, you know, keep those things in mind. And they tend to be kind of expensive, at least from what I saw. They do tend to be kind of expensive. They are close to transportation as a whole, but they can be quite expensive. But really the best way to find like good quality, cheaper apartments would be to use the Japanese websites, or go through Japanese native, like the same channels that like a native Japanese person would go through to find an apartment. And these websites are like Japanese only, unfortunately, but if you have like Rikai-kun or Rikai-chan like in your web browser, like I have, you can get them for definitely for Chrome and Firefox, but I don't know about other internet browsers, but definitely for those two you can get like basically the same. You hover over like Japanese text and it can translate it for you, which is really, really helpful if you find kanji and stuff you don't know. But here's some Japanese only apartment websites that you can look at. Sumo, Iheanet, and At Home, and Shintai. And I went to all of those websites a lot of times. Like every day I would check. And it's really helpful to like figure out like what your price range should be, because you can like select like what you want in an apartment and where you want your apartment to be. If you're like, I see like, you know, that the apartments here that I want to live are this much, or you know, the apartments that have all the amenities that I want are over here and this far away from the station. So it is really helpful for that sort of a thing. And also like for me, like I want, like my apartment right now is like a pet okay apartment, because I would like to have a pet in the future. Not immediately, but in the future I would. But pet okay apartments are like not so easy to find, and it is really helpful to find things online and like you that already like say specifically that they are pet okay, and you can see what they are like and the quality of the apartment and everything. And you may have to compromise on some things in order to get the apartment that you want. Like for me, like originally I wanted to have like an air conditioner already in the apartment, and this apartment doesn't have an air conditioner, and I'll have to buy one. I don't have one yet, but I will have to buy an air conditioner for this apartment. But I was able to get a really great apartment in a really great location and everything, just by sacrificing that one thing that, you know, I thought that I really required. So keep those things in mind as well. And I don't know, but basically like you can, like through those Japanese websites, like email a realtor about like if you are interested in the apartment and see if you can set up a time to go visit the apartment. But I think that it would be better to actually go to the realtor office. And they have like many locations like all around Japan, like all these places, and especially like around train stations. So if you go to like a major train station especially, there are definitely going to be like a couple of different like realtor offices around there. So you can definitely go check those things out. But it's best, I think, to actually go there. And like they have, you know, like tons of different things, and they might even be able to show you things that are not even on the website yet. And also like if you, I mean, you are a foreigner, and there are places that are not open to foreigners, and it's not going to say that on the website, like we don't accept foreigners. Like that's not going to be on the website. But if you actually go to the realtor's office, they can tell you like these ones are definitely going to be okay. These, like, they're not going to show you ones that are not going to be acceptable for foreigners. So that is very helpful. Unfortunately, that whole process would be entirely in Japanese. So if you have a Japanese friend or a friend who's like basically fluent in Japanese, definitely take them with you, and they can help you and make sure that you understand everything. And honestly, it's probably just better to go like with a friend anyway, like just so that you have like a second opinion, really. But I went with my host mother, and she made it so much easier because like she was able to explain it to me in Japanese that I understand. So that was really helpful. And they showed us like a bunch of different places like on paper, and I was like, no, I really like this one. So we've only really actually visited this one in person, but it was really helpful to actually go to the realtor's office. So that's something that I would definitely recommend. But in terms of like research and stuff, definitely look around online. Yeah, and the rest of the process is pretty standard to like anywhere in the world really, except that in Japan you tend to have like reikin, like key money, which can be really exorbitant. But you know, there are apartments that actually don't have reikin, which is another thing that's really good actually go to the realtor's office, because they will know exactly which apartments don't have reikin. So that might be something that, you know, you could look into, because you'll save a lot of money. Like for me, like this apartment didn't have reikin, so like that money, you know, ordinarily you would have to spend, you know, like $1,000, $2,000 like on reikin, which is so expensive. But you know, I was able to use that money to buy a refrigerator, a microwave, and a washer, and all that stuff. So like, I'm saving money basically by not paying reikin. So that's super helpful. But definitely be prepared to put down at least $1,500, even like $2,000. I put down, I think, around $2,000 on this apartment, but I also opted into a couple of different things, so it was a little bit more than that. But just with like basic, you know, down payments for everything, the realtor's fees, everything like that. That was around $2,000. But I opted into like a security system thing and like a thing to treat the apartment for cockroaches and stuff, which was a little bit more money, but that was worth it to me. But those are things that are more about my building than, you know, something that's standard. So yeah, I'm definitely not, you know, an expert on all of this, but I hope this is like helpful to somebody. But anyway, like the process for really finding an apartment can, if you go to the realtor's office, it could take like a week or even 2 weeks. Like I had everything set up and everything. Definitely by like 2 weeks, I knew that this was my apartment and I had paid for the down payment and everything like that. So that took like 2 weeks. But you know, I had like months of research like behind me. But if you need to get this done quickly, you can definitely get it done. But I hope this was helpful to anyone. I'm sorry if it's not really that helpful, and eventually, I know that you've probably already seen like my apartment tour video for like the initial apartment tour, and after like my apartment is, I feel like it's more complete, after I buy a whole bunch of things to furnish my apartment and things that I didn't really have. Like I still really want like a kitchen table or something. Instead of like eating like at my little kotatsu table all the time, but that would be really great if I could get that. But basically, like once I like really feel like I'm more finished furnishing it, I'll do another tour and show you everything. But yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.